guests, welcome to today's Big Brother 18 updates and spoilers. Our house guest of the day is Kathy Thornburg. Thanks so much for your support on Patreon. I hope you're enjoying the holiday weekend. Alright, and if you guys want to be house guests of the day, check out our Patreon link in the info box below. Alright, so they had the Power Veto competition yesterday. Just a quick little recap. It was hosted by Corey, and the players were Pauly the HOH, the 3 nominees, Paul, Bronte, and Tiffany, and 2 extra players, Davon and Zakia. So this competition was a Big Brother classic. It was the spelling one, so they had to dig around in this like gooey crap, and it was very, very messy. And they had to pull out the letters, and we've seen this before. It's not just who can spell the longest word anymore. The letters have different point values now, so it's kind of like Scrabble. So you had to make, I mean, you still want to make a long word, but it's got to have some value to it. So this time, all the words were spelled correctly. Good job, house guests. And Pauly was the big winner, and his word was sustainability. Ooh, so eco-friendly too. Okay, so after the feeds came back, Day was like kind of weirded out because during the competition, Tiffany like looked over and counted all of Day's letters to make sure that she had more, and she like went back and got another one, and Day was just like, should I be worried? Like, I thought we were on the same team here. Like, why is she doing that? And Frank is just like, oh, let it go. Like, it's fine, whatever. I'm a little surprised that Frank wasn't like, Tiffany needs to go. Because we've been hearing him say that a lot. But up in the HOH room, Nicole was asking Pauly, like, what are you going to do now? You know, you got the power. You got the power. So Pauly's like, I definitely still want to backdoor Victor. That's been the plan all this week, and he's sticking to it. Now it's just a matter of how he's going to do it. So he's thinking he's going to use the veto on Paul rather than Bronte, because Paul went ahead and he went along with the plan during the POV player selection ceremony because he had the opportunity to pick Victor to play in the competition, and he didn't, and he picked Zakia. So they want to pay him back for that, so Pauly's like, I'll use it on Paul. Then he's like, should I tell Victor beforehand that he's going up, or should I just let him find out at the ceremony? So Pauly's like, if I tell him beforehand, I'm gonna have to say like, the whole house wants you out, and I'm just following through. But then he's like, well, I could wait until the POV ceremony and just, like, tell him that it's payback for last week. Like, he's got to do what he's got to do. And then Victor will only be mad at Pauly instead of feeling like the whole house hates him. So Pauly says that he is totally willing to take the heat for this one and, like, minimize the awkwardness for the rest of the house. And I think that's cool, but I think Pauly's also trying to gain some brownie points with his alliance because, like, so many of them have told him, like, no, like, it's okay, we'll all, you know, take the fall for this. Frank is like, no, just say, like, everybody wants him out. But Pauly's like, no, I'm gonna take the heat for it. So he's definitely trying to be the hero here. So then Pauly pulls Paul aside, and he lets him know, like, I'm gonna use the veto on you, man. Good job at that POV selection ceremony. So Paul's just like, thanks, man, that's really cool. So Pauly lets him in on the plan. Of course, he's putting Victor up on the block. And Paul agrees. Excuse me. That was a long one. And Paul agrees not to tell Victor. And I mean, he's followed through with the plan so far this week. So it'll be interesting to see if he's going to keep his mouth shut. Alright, so Davon and Tiffany had a pretty interesting chat in the have-not room yesterday. So they're talking about the next few evictions and who's going to be going. And they both feel like James and Frank are trying to protect Natalie and Bridget as potential jury votes. So we heard Day talking about this with Zakia before, but now she's kind of like spreading it around a little bit, telling Tiffany about it. So Day brings up getting rid of Frank before jury, and Tiffany's like, hell yeah, because we know that Frank and Tiffany are always butting heads, and of course she's going to want to take him out. So then they actually discuss getting rid of, like, all of the guys, do something that's never been done before, have, like, an all women house. That would be crazy. But I mean, it's never been done before, so it would be interesting. That's for sure. But a few minutes later, and this is really funny, Frank and Polly were chatting up in the HOH room, and they were talking about, like, all the girls possibly turning against them or whatever. And Frank was like, I don't think Day and Nicole would go against us like that. Like, our girls don't think like that. And then Frank is like, yeah, we'll be able to sit back and relax while the two sides of girls go after each other. So, I mean, they're thinking that the Spy Girls and the Fatal Five are going to go against each other, but they don't even know that the Fatal Five is a thing at this point. So, it's pretty funny. So, yeah. Devon tells Zakiya and Nicole about her chat with Tiffany, and she's like, yeah, Tiffany told me that Bronte, Natalie, and Bridget are all wanting to work with us to take out the guys. So Nicole's like a little bit skeptical about this. She's like, are the girls just saying that so like they can stay longer? She's like, can we really trust them? I mean, Bronte did say earlier that she was coming after Nicole, but I think things changed so much when Jose was evicted. I think the Spy Girls were really like, whoa, we gotta get away from these guys. We need to figure out something else. But Nicole's like, I don't know yet. Like, we'll see. So then Day was like, well, if you think about it, we can use those girls to take out our guys and keep the blood off of our hands, and then we have the Fatal Five, so, like, they would have the numbers to get rid of the Spy Girls after that, but we'll see what happens. I don't know, and it's going to be interesting to see if Nicole is going to tell anybody about this, like Corey or something, because I see Nicole, like, cozying up to Corey, and I'm just like, ugh, the goat story. I will never forget the goat story. Alright, so Big Brother gave the house guests some booze last night, some beer and wine. James and Nicole were joking about hiding it and just drinking it themselves, but they did end up bringing it up to the HOH. No alcohol for the have-nots in this situation, but I mean, I have a feeling they're going to have a little party for them for the 4th of July tomorrow, so I think they're over it. But there was nothing really, no drunken shenanigans to report there. Alright, so then Frank and James were chatting in the storage room, and Frank is like, you know what, we're going to have to start cutting into our own group soon. And I'm just like, wait, what? This week is only the 3rd eviction, and you're already talking about eating your own? So Frank is like, yeah, we're targeting Bronte next week, but if she's saved by the power of veto, we should go for Tiffany. I think it's too soon for that. But anyway, Frank is also like, or if one of us vets gets the roadkill, maybe we should just nominate Tiffany and not tell anyone. So Frank is like, I don't like that Pauly trusts Tiffany so much. Like, that's a huge red flag for him. That makes him want to get rid of her even more. And Pauly is like, Frank's, you know, Frank feels like he's got Pauly in his back pocket, but he sees that Tiffany is very smart. She's got a lot of pull with Pauly, so he's nervous that she's going to take him away. So he definitely wants to get rid of Tiffany. And James is just like, yeah, sure. A few minutes later, Frank shares his plan with Nicole. She's also like, yeah, I'm into it. It sounds good. Alright, so then Tiffany, Bridget, and Natalie were talking more about possibly bringing all of the girls together, both sides, and the girls are not idiots. They're like, you know what, we know that Victor is going this week. He's in a lot of trouble. And once Victor is gone, the guys are going to scoop up Paul very easily. They don't see Paul sticking with them. So Tiffany's like, whatever you guys hear from the guys, do not trust it. You got to take it with a grain of salt. Look how they freaking fooled you last week. They'll just keep doing that again and again. But it seems like the Spy Girls are very aware of this at this point. Okay, so today, Zakiya and Day were discussing again that they want Tiffany out pre-jury. And I'm just like really confused where Day's head is at right now. I'm not sure if she actually wants Tiffany out or she actually wants Frank out. Maybe she wants both of them out pre-jury. I'm sure that would be a dream scenario for Day. But I'm not sure, you know, if she had the opportunity to only do one or the other, which person would she get rid of? It's tough to say at this point. And then they were talking about how they know that Pauly is not going to be happy about it, but it's got to happen. And I got to say, I think Paulie definitely would rather work with Tiffany over Zakiya. So that's something to think about too. Alright, so Frank also brings up today again that he wants Tiffany out next. And he's like, we could let someone like Bronte do it if she wins the HOH because she's a strong competitor. It could happen. Or one of them could secretly nominate her as the Roadkill nominee. With the whole Bronte thing, I don't see Bronte nominating Tiffany and like targeting her. Bronte is all about this girl power thing, and she talks with Tiffany quite a bit, so I don't see that happening, but I don't think Frank is aware of that at this point. Okay, so in other news today, Michelle was like freaking out and crying and saying that she's never going to get a job after this because apparently she said the word midget and she didn't realize that that could be offensive in certain situations. But like I don't think it was even on the feeds, but because she was talking about it, like it came up again. So they're all telling her like it's gonna be okay, and she's like, but James looked so upset. Blah blah blah. I'm pretty sure that James was joking with her, but she was really upset about it. Michelle, I think you're gonna be okay with that, but as a nutritionist, I think you should stop fat shaming people on the internet. That's probably gonna keep you from getting a job more than saying the word midget. But anyway, Tiffany told Corey today that she is Vanessa's sister from last season. And that pretty much means nothing to Corey. Come on, he was just like, I don't even know who that is, whatever. Sounds good. Oh, you're freaking Dan Giesling's sister? I don't know who that is, whatever. I mean, you could tell Corey that you're like Dr. Will's freaking child, and he's just gonna be like, okay, your dad's a doctor, neat. So they did not have the power veto ceremony today. I don't know if they're going to have it tomorrow. They usually do have it on Mondays, but because it's the 4th of July, I don't know if they're going to do that or if they're going to hold off until Tuesday. But we'll see. I don't know what Victor's reaction is going to be like. It should be fun. So until tomorrow, much love.
Edit.